Hare Krishna. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunnavadi Paschatta Deshatarine Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. What is the topic that was given to me? How to enjoy? Yes, that's a nice way to approach that. I think the original topic was youth is not meant for, is youth meant for enjoyment? Comes the same thing, how to enjoy, isn't it? When one is young, one naturally wants to enjoy. Because it is a natural tendency of a human being to enjoy. But the point is, one must know how to enjoy. Like, if there is an option, if somebody tells you, you come to such and such place, you pay 500 rupees and you'll get a lot of enjoyment, a lot of fun. And you go there and then you find that inside the tent there's a big man with a stick in his hand and he starts beating you. Would you like to go to such a situation? Now, material nature is like that. How many of you are aware of the expression Maya? How many of you do not know what Maya is? Those who don't know, please raise your hand. This side, everybody knows the meaning of the word Maya? It looks like the ladies are very learned. Okay. Maya is the illusory energy of the Lord. And this business of this illusory energy is to prepare us to surrender to Krishna. Now, in order to understand that, we'll go back again further. How many of you know that our real identity is spiritual? How many of you know that our actual identity is spiritual? We are spiritual beings. So where do we originally come from? Do we come from the another world, spiritual world? Now, if we came from another world, then is this place our real place for our habitation, our accommodation? No. We are originally from the spiritual world. And what is then this world? This world is a foreign place. And the purpose of this world is, do you know what is the purpose of this world? The purpose of this world is to prepare us that we can go back to the spiritual world. If we are all from the spiritual world, then is it natural for us to go back there or not? If your home is in some place, do you want to go back home or do you want to go away, stay away from home? How many of you at some point want to go back to your home? So we came from spiritual world. So where is our actual home? The spiritual world. So should we go back to the spiritual world? Should we go back home? How many of you read the Back to Godhead magazine? And what is the purpose of that magazine? Back home, back to Godhead. Back to Godhead. Back to the spiritual world where we actually belong. Right? Now the question is, then how come we came here? Why did we come here? In that respect, we can give few examples. One very sweet example. The sweet example is, first I'll say, one example I'll give is a sweet example and the other one is a sour example. The sweet example is like a child. The child wants to play with his friends. So the child tells his father, "Daddy, Daddy, I want to go to the field, I want to go to the park and play with my friends." Does it happen? Did it happen to you? Did you tell your daddy, "Daddy, Daddy, I want to go and play with my friends in the park"? And then what did the daddy do? Daddy took you to the park. And when you came to the park, what happened? When you came to the park, when you met your friends, did you remember the daddy anymore? You became so absorbed with your friends that you forgot your father. But although you forgot your father, did the father leave you there and go away? No, the father, what did he do? He was sitting on a bench by the side of the park and watching you. Then at some point, when you got hurt, started to cry, "Daddy, Daddy, where are you?" Then you remembered, "Daddy, Daddy," right? Or it became dark and all your friends are gone. Then you called out to your father. Then what did the father do? Came, picked you up on his lap and said, "Come, let's go home now." Did it happen? Now, who is the child here? We all. Who is the daddy here? Krishna. And after coming here, we are so absorbed with our friends that we completely forgot our father. Although we forgot our father, did he forget us? Where is he? How is he watching us? Sitting in our hearts. In everyone's heart he is sitting. Why? He is watching. When we are going to call out to him, "Daddy, Daddy, where are you?" And then, "Krishna, Krishna, where are you?" Then Krishna will come and pick us up. So that's a sweet example. Now you want to hear the sour example? Okay, the sour example is the king and the citizens. The king gives the law, right? And everybody is expected to abide by the law. When somebody breaks the law, what happens? When somebody breaks the law, then the police comes and takes him to the prison. And in the prison, he suffers. the punishment. Right? And what is the purpose of the prison? The purpose of the prison is to remind us that we should never break the law. And in the prison it is happening. We are asked, so will you abide by the law or break the law? Have you seen how dogs are trained? How many of you have seen how the dogs are trained? Okay, you know how it, at least theoretically you know. The dogs are trained, the dogs are asked to do something. When the dogs do the right thing, the dog gets a cookie, dog gets a biscuit. And when the dog does something wrong, then he gets the stick. So this is how the dog learns what to do and what not to do. So similarly, we are the ones who broke the law, right? And as a result of that, we are put into a very special place, the prison house. And prison house, for our mistake, what do we get? We get a stick, right? And when you do the right thing, we get rewarded. So who is the king here? Okay, so king is the king of kings, Krishna. So Krishna has given the law. What is the law that has been given by Krishna? That law is called dharma. Are you familiar with the expression dharmang tu shakshad bhagavat pranitam? How many of you know the meaning of this word, this line? Dharma is the law that has been given by Krishna himself. Shakshad bhagavat pranitam. So when we break the law, then what happens? When we break the law, do we get rewarded? We put into the prison. This material nature is a prison house. That's why at the beginning I told you it's a sour example. It doesn't sound very sweet. And in this, but whether we like it or not, it's the reality. In this material nature, are we enjoying or suffering? We are suffering. Everybody is suffering. Does anybody go to the prison house to enjoy? Everyone goes to the prison to suffer, to get punished. So we are here in this material nature in order to get punished. And what is the purpose of the punishment? The purpose of the punishment is to remind us that if we break the law of Krishna, we will suffer. Now, on the other hand, if we abide by the instructions of Krishna, then what will happen? Krishna himself is saying it. How many of you remember that particular verse? Mamekam sharanang braja. Surrender unto me. And when you surrender unto Krishna, then what will happen? Aham tvang sarva papebhyo mokshoishami. I will deliver you from all your suffering condition. So, now you got the point? Who are the prisoners? How many of you understood? Okay. We are the prisoners, right? Where is the prison house? This material world is a prison house. Who is the king? Krishna. And because we broke his law, that's why we are suffering. That's why we are suffering. Now, if we surrender unto Krishna, then what will happen? Did you consider that? Consider, in the prison house, somebody surrenders to the king. Then what will the king do? If somebody writes a letter to the king, my lord, I'm sorry I made a mistake, I broke your law. I promise I'll never do that. Then what will the king do? The king will report to the prison authority. And the prison king will say, this person seems to be rectifying himself. So please watch him. And the prison authorities see that yes, this person is truly surrendering to the king. He is abiding by the law, he is submissive, he is... So then what happens? Then the prison authorities start to give him facilities. Right? Gives all kinds of facilities. Although he is in the prison, but he is not treated like a prisoner because his mentality has changed. He has been corrected himself. And then what do the prison authorities do? They make him a role model. They show everybody, look at this prisoner. He is getting so much facilities. For breakfast he is getting 10 course meal. For lunch he is getting 20 course. For his accommodation he is getting such beautiful arrangement. And once in a while he gets a vacation. So as a result of that, seeing him, then what happens to the other prisoners? And the prisoners also keep telling them, look, I just surrendered to him and I'm getting so many facilities, why don't you also do that? And then they surrender to the king, they also start getting the facilities. Then they also go and tell others that look, I just surrendered to the king and I'm getting all these facilities. Okay, now, now who are the role models? Okay, who are the ones who surrendered unto Krishna? The King of Kings? The devotees. When one becomes a devotee, does he start getting special facilities? How many of you have become devotees of Krishna? I was thinking that maybe some of you are hesitating. So I'll put it in a little different way. How many of you have surrendered to Krishna? That's even better. So after you surrender to Krishna, what happened to you? Are you suffering or you are enjoying? Huh? Okay. Then now that you are enjoying, what is the reason why you are enjoying? Because you have surrendered to Krishna. And then what you are doing? Say for example, some devotees went and told you that look, you surrender to Krishna and he'll get the facilities. Right? Like for example, Rasananda Prabhu went. Prema Bhakti Prabhu went. Did they tell you? And then did you do that? Did you surrender to Krishna? And as a result of the surrender, you are seeing, you are getting so many benefits. Now what you should do? Because these devotees went and told you, that's why you understood the benefit of surrender. So shouldn't you go and tell others also to surrender? How many of you are already doing that? Very good. That is the meaning of preaching. Preaching means telling others, surrender to Krishna and your life will become full of joy. So, Now, when you surrender to Krishna, you start getting this benefits. And then, mind you, the prison authorities are watching you. Who are the prison authorities? The demigods are the prison authorities. Maya Devi herself is the prison authority. And she is reporting to Krishna. Bhakta Prakash is doing very well. So please look at him favorably. Bhaktin, Sonia is doing very well. So this is how Maya Devi is reporting to Krishna, and as a result of that, Krishna is becoming more and more favorable. And mind you, on top of everything, Krishna is situated in the heart. Krishna is watching you. And then what happens? Eventually, Krishna says that please release such and such devotee, and I need a nice servant. I need a very good servant. So Krishna sends his vehicle, the chariot from the spiritual world. And then, one fine morning, you find that a beautiful chariot is waiting in front of your house. And there are two divine-looking personalities. Jai Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan ki Jai, Jai Shri Shri Bhagwan ki. So you find some divine-looking personalities. And they say, please come. Krishna has sent this chariot to take you to the spiritual sky. And then the chariot takes you to where? The chariot takes you to Krishna's palace. And there, when you are with the King of Kings, what happens to you? He is enjoying, and you also enjoy with him. So now, the question is, should the youth, let's put it this way, should you utilize your youth to enjoy or not? But the point is, as I was mentioning, we must know, you must know what is the real way to enjoy. Now you consider, I gave you the example of the child. The child is playing with his friends. And sometimes he is winning. When he is winning, he is happy. And sometimes he is losing, then he is sad. When he is playing the game, so often he gets hurt. But does he really get a real enjoyment just by playing with his friends? It's some temporary excitement. That's what he gets. Doesn't get real enjoyment. But when his father picks him up, takes him home, then his mother is waiting with a plate of Mahaprasad. Now what is more exciting? Playing with the friends and getting hurt, or sitting on the mother's lap and relishing Mahaprasad? So the point is, we have to know what is real enjoyment. Now let us consider those who are not aware of this, how they are trying to enjoy. I don't have to tell you anything, I'm sure you all know that. How they are trying to enjoy? They are trying to enjoy. One of the ways to enjoy is eat all kinds of garbage. And by eating those stuff, they are hurting themselves. they drink. And what is the result of drinking? One gets drunk, one loses his sanity. Is that a way to enjoy? He takes very, very heavy drugs, and you know the result of that. Now, is this the way to enjoy, or is this the way to suffer? Therefore, it is very important that you find out what's the real way to enjoy. What is the real way to enjoy? Now, what he told you about the real way to enjoy, how many of you accepted that proposal? This side I didn't watch. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. And how many of you have become really convinced about this lifestyle of real enjoyment? Thank you. Thank you. And one thing I can tell you, many of us, practically most of us here, have been in the movement, have accepted this lifestyle so many years ago. For me, it is 41 years. And one thing I can tell you, had I not been enjoying, then I wouldn't have been here. And what is happening, you know, the more the time is passing, I am enjoying more and more. That's why I can't leave it. Now, how many of you are experiencing the same way? Like so many of you, like I can see, so many of you have given up that lifestyle, given up those opportunities, given up those facilities, and you have accepted this life and you don't want to leave. I have seen, say for example, I am thinking of Charan because he stands sitting right in front of me. Charan had a very good job. He quit that job. He joined ISKCON. That was how many years ago? 5 years ago. And did he ever think of leaving? His family, his parents came and reasoned with me, please let him go. And I told him that, look, I mean, I have accepted this life myself, you know, how can I ask him to go? And his parents have given up finally. And same thing with Brajendra Krishna, same thing with so many of you, Chaitanya Chandran, all of you, so many of you, those who have become full-time devotees. And finally the family members have given up, hopeless. The other day, one of our god brothers from America was giving a class, Badri Narayan Maharaj. So he was telling about one bhakta who joined the temple. And his parents were coming, giving him all kinds of temptations, like, come, we'll give you so much money, we'll give you this, we'll give you that. But he didn't want to go back. They couldn't understand why. Like, according to them, the lifestyle in the temple is so hard, so difficult. So then they thought that probably they could take him to a wedding. So they took him to a wedding, thought that, you know, seeing this grand wedding, some relative was getting married, that he may change his mind. And so And you know, like in Christian wedding, they take a vow, until death do we part. So when the priest was giving that, making them take the vow, and the son said, see, until death. That means this relationship is only up to death. And then you have to die and you have to leave everything behind. So then the father said, he is hopeless. So that is how a devotee is situated in proper knowledge. So have you become situated in proper... Do you all think that you have become situated in proper knowledge? Please raise your hands. Very good. Very good. So I feel very happy, because before giving the class I was thinking how to present it to you, because you all are so young and you naturally have a tendency to enjoy, and if I come and tell you, then you'll say, Maharaj, you are over 70 years old, you have lived a life. You are giving this advice to us. Thank you so much. Actually, wisdom doesn't have any restriction of age. Hare Krishna, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Does anybody have any question? Yes? Give the mic.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for your class. Because I'm very amazing we heard that category of sweetness, so is of Krishna and divinities. So my question is, we hear that this material world does not contain any enjoyment. But sometimes it is said, like it is also said in Bhagavad Gita, that this material world is mixed with like suffering and enjoyment, and they are temporarily become back and forth. So is that the world doesn't contain any enjoyment, or it contains both suffering and...
Yeah, good, very good question. Material world has some enjoyment, that is materialistic enjoyment. That is called sense gratification. When our senses are satisfied, gratified, we think it is enjoyment, right? But actually that is not real enjoyment. It is called sense gratification. Say for example, one is suffering due to excessive heat. The temperature here became 44 degrees. And then you get some air conditioner and you enjoy the reduction of that temperature. But for how long that will last? Therefore, Krishna is saying, this enjoyment is only sense perception in relation to the degree. Like the senses, when it is 44 degrees, it is suffering. When it is 25 degrees, it is enjoyment. But when it is minus 0 degrees, it's miserable. Like, you see, heat is painful. But cold also is painful. It's only matra sparshas tu konteya shitasna sukha dukkhada. The sukha and dukkha happiness and pain is only a matter of sense perception. Right? And Krishna is saying, Agama paina nittas. Just as summer season comes, summer season goes away. Then winter comes. Winter also doesn't last forever. That also goes away. Therefore, Krishna is saying, this happiness and pain in this material nature will come and go. Agama paina anitta. They are temporary. Therefore, tang stitikshasya bharata. Therefore, just tolerate it. Tolerate it. If it is suffering, tolerate it. If it is enjoyment, don't become attached to it. So Krishna is saying that do not become attached to enjoyment and averse to suffering. They'll come and go. You can't avoid it. So just tolerate. Because these are the characteristics of the material nature. But you belong to a world where there is no suffering. There is only enjoyment and enjoyment and enjoyment. Right? Anandam buddhi parthanam. So that is our real situation. Right? Thank you. Any other question? Yes.
Hare Krishna. I want to know, sir, Krishna accepts service in a particular way from a person, he accepts the service of Arjun as a warrior, except the service of Veera in some other way. So how can we know that what kind of service that Krishna will accept from us?
Can you explain what he said?
Krishna accepts different ways service from different people. Like Arjuna as a warrior, Veerabai in different way. So how do we get to know what kind of service Krishna wants?
Oh yeah, very good. Very good. So I was having a little, because there was so much echo, like I couldn't hear properly. So, yes, very good question. Now, how do we know what Krishna wants? So, since we cannot figure out what Krishna wants, we have to approach somebody who knows what Krishna wants. Right? Say for example, say if I do not know you so well, can I possibly know what you need? No. But if I come across somebody who knows you, and I ask him, can you please tell me what he wants actually? Then he can tell me what you want, and then accordingly, I can provide that to you. So similarly, we need to get to know somebody, or we need to approach somebody who knows Krishna and who can tell us what Krishna wants. And that is Krishna's devotees, Krishna's advanced devotees, especially spiritual masters. Because they know what Krishna wants, they can tell us what kind of service to render. Right? Thank you. So, any other question? Take the mic.
I'm totally convinced that one should surrender oneself to Krishna. But I want to know how can I practice, how can I prepare myself to surrender to Krishna.
So again, it goes back to the same point that we have to know somebody who knows how to surrender to Krishna. And then he guides us. That's why we need the guidance of a devotee or devotees. And those devotees who guide us, they are considered to be the teachers or spiritual masters. And that's one way of approaching. The other consideration is there are scriptures. The scriptures also give us direction how to surrender to Krishna. For example, Bhakti Vinod Thakur is giving us a very clear understanding. Manasa deha geha jo kichu mor or pilu tua pade nanda kishore. My body, my mind, my family, my wealth, whatever is mine, I am offering it to Krishna. Krishna himself is saying, Mamekam sharanang braja, surrender unto me. So this is how we get to know how to surrender to Krishna. And then Krishna's devotees give us practical guidance, how to surrender. Like for example, sometimes somebody may think, well, I want to become a devotee, so I will leave home and I'll go to Himalayas and where there won't be any family member to trouble me. But then you come across the devotee and share your ideas with him. And then he says, no, there is no need to go to Himalayas. Why don't you stay at home and continue to serve your family? And at the same time, you also serve Krishna and make your family members into devotees of Krishna. Or he may say, well, at home you are not able to practice properly, so why don't you come and stay in the temple? Like that, they give you the practical guidance, which may not be possible for one to decide for himself. Right? So, yes, at the back there is a question.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, is how the situation of Mamekam Sharanam Braja is obtained and when our sense gratification gets finished.
Here, Mamekam Sharanam Braja, just surrender unto me, ekam, only to me. So that is the way. And sense gratification, Krishna is saying also, Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanang Bhakti Ruchyate. When the senses are engaged in serving the Lord of the senses, then only the senses get properly gratified. Right? The real sense enjoyment comes when we give pleasure to the Lord of the senses. Right? So there is no need to separately try for sense gratification. In that respect, one very nice example is, see, the real enjoyment is not through gratifying the senses. The real enjoyment comes from within the heart. Right? The example that is given, see, the mother is very hungry and there is just a little food. So the mother could have eaten the food herself. Then she could have got the sense gratification. But instead of eating the food herself, the mother offers the food to the son. And by seeing the son is eating the food and enjoying it, the mother gets real satisfaction. Right? You get that example? Now tell me, which is a better option? Mother taking the food and eating herself, or mother giving the food to the child? So in a similar way, we can enjoy by eating ourselves. But greater enjoyment is derived by offering it to Krishna. Right?
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes? Give him the mic here. Who has the mic? I can't hear you. Okay, yeah.
My question is on consciousness and purity.
Your question is?
On consciousness and purity. So when we talk like about the senses and sense objects, so if we say the equation like the senses of a subject and they come in contact with the object, so there is a sense gratification. And sense gratification is a state of mind. Like pleasure is created by mind. But at the same time, when we say that the mind is not feeling the pleasure, even in contact with the sense objects. So where we will consider the purity of the subject.
Purity of the?
Subject.
Purity of the subject.
Like if we say like to refrain from the sense objects, like is one of the the criteria kind of thing that the sense that the subject will be kept pure. Like at the same time, but when even if the subject is in contact with the object or sense, the indriyas, senses are in contact with the object, but still the mind is not in place. So like where will we consider the purity of the subject?
Well, the ultimate consideration is not just the mind. The ultimate consideration is the contentment of the soul. So, sense gratification, you see, mind also is a sense. Therefore, the pleasure derived by the mind also is sense gratification. But the point here is that that sense gratification is only illusory or temporary. So actually what is happening when, as you were saying, like the object of the senses and the senses, when the interaction of these two is pleasing to the senses. Like, for example, not that always when the mind is in contact with the senses and the object, it is enjoyment. Like when it is terribly hot, right, and the senses are perceiving the heat, the mind is tuned into that, but that is not enjoyment, right? Like the consideration is the factor of pleasure to the senses. To a certain degree, the senses are perceiving some sort of pleasure. But the real point is that sense pleasure is not the real pleasure. The real pleasure is anandam, that is experienced only by developing our relationship with Krishna. Does it answer your question?
Yes, and my second part, what about purity?
Purity of the subject. Well, I don't know what you mean by purity of subject, but what comes to my mind is the subject becomes purified when it is offered to Krishna. That is the only consideration of purity. Otherwise, it's all impure. If it is not connected to Krishna, there is no consideration of purity. Just like Om apavitra pavitrava sarvavasthang gatopiva jasmarit pundarikakhang sa bhajya abhantarang suchihi. Just by remembering Krishna, one becomes purified both externally and internally. So, point is, the ultimate consideration of purity is Krishna. Say, for example, no matter how nicely, how valiantly Karna fought, his endeavor is not pure because it was not connected to Krishna. Whereas all of Arjun's endeavors are pure because he is fighting for Krishna's sake. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, here's a question.
My question is, how can we save ourselves from Smriti, Buddhinasham production? Because at the present time it's very difficult not to carry visual concerns. So how can we save ourselves better conditioning when Buddhinasham?
Okay, good, very good question. So the question is that consider the beginning of it. Dhayate Vishayan Punksha. Right? Our senses are running towards the object of the senses. Right? If we allow the senses to run towards the object of the senses, Dhayate Vishayan Punksha, then what happens? What's the natural consequence? Sangaste Shupajayate. Attachment develops. Sangat Sangjayate Kama. Due to that, association, lust develops. That means desire to enjoy that develops. Kamat Krodho Bhijayate. As a result of that, anger develops. Krodhat Bhavati Sanmoha. Due to anger, one becomes bewildered. Sanmohat Smriti Vibhrama. Therefore, due to bewilderment, loss of memory. Smriti Bhrangshat Buddhi Nasha. Due to loss of memory, the intelligence is lost. Buddhi Nashat Pranashati. See how just because of one little mistake, allowing our senses to run towards the object of the senses, we are becoming doomed. Now the point is, the senses will have a natural tendency to run towards the object of the senses. The yogis try to artificially withdraw the senses from the object of the senses. It's a very difficult process. But the simple process is, the senses are running towards the object of the senses. Then consider the object to be meant for Krishna's service. You get it? Senses are allowed to run towards the object of the senses. But that object of the senses, you transform it into Krishna's pleasure. Use it in Krishna's pleasure. Engage it in Krishna's service. Then the whole scenario will change. No more pranashati, rather bhavishyati. Like everything will become so wonderfully possible. All right? So this is the simple way, and that is the meaning of Sankirtan. You see, Sankirtan is such an easy process. This process is so easy, that's why it has been given to the age of Kali. Other ages, yes, withdraw your senses through yoga. Pratyahar. But in this age, no more pratyahar. Rather, project. And see what can be used in Krishna's service. Accept that. What cannot be accepted in Krishna's service, reject that. Right? So this is how you are just allowing your senses to go towards the object of the senses, but you are using your intelligence to determine which one to accept and which one to reject. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Last question.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Guru Maharaj, my question is, when our health is not good, and we have to change our rounds, as usual, we get test while chanting. And when we will not feel good. And simultaneously we have to chant our rounds and our Sata Bhakti. And I will not get test in such situation. And so how to overcome this situation?
Yeah. You see, Krishna is very merciful. Like, just consider, Haridas Thakur was very sick. He was practically at his deathbed. And still he is chanting. Then what did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ask him? Haridas, did you complete your 192 rounds? Did he ask him that? Or did he ask him, Haridas, why are you taking it? You are not so well. It's all right. You don't have to chant. So that is the attitude of the Lord. And the devotee's attitude, no, I will try my best. Right? So this is how the loving relationship develops. Does the father tell the son when he is in difficulty, no, you must do this? No, the father's attitude is, okay, that's fine. You don't have to. You have done enough. So this is how merciful Krishna is. But at the same time, on our part, on a part of a devotee says, no, I'll try my best. It's all right. I can chant. Although it is difficult, but I will continue to chant. And Haridas Thakur's response is like my disease is that I can't complete my rounds. So this is how the loving relationship is between the Lord and His devotee. Hare Krishna. Okay, there is a question here written. Hare Krishna Maharaj, my question is, being devotee parents, devotee, what's that? Parents try and whose question is this? Can you read it for me? It's your question or? Oh, it's your question. Okay, she has.
That was my question. My question is, being devotees and devotee parents, they be very anxious to make their kids devotees. But sometimes they won't be successful, or after some point of time the kid goes out of path, because in many cases I have seen where devotees are brand initiated and they brought up their kids in Krishna consciousness, and at one point of time the kid goes out of Krishna consciousness. So at that point, what is the duty of the parents, and is it the parents' fault, or how they have to bring up their kids in Krishna consciousness so that they become...
So the parents are devotee parents?
Yeah, devotees.
Parents are devotees, the devotee is devotee. And so now let me see the...
Son is not becoming devotee.
Devotee. The parents?
Parents is devotee, son is not devotee.
Okay.
Parents' fault.
What is parents?
Parents' fault, son is not becoming devotee.
Everyone has come with his own independence. Right? So why should the blame go to the parents? You get my point. If the son doesn't want to become a devotee, what can be done? We are always seeing that kind of syndrome in our ISKCON. Parents are very good devotees, but children do not become devotees. What to do? Like, we can't blame the parents. Like, maybe one thing that the parents should have, there are two things. That parents, since you are going to become that parent yourself, or you are already one of the parents yourself, remember two things. One is, train your children very nicely to become devotees when they're young. And the second point is, you also lead your life in such a way that he respects you and wants to follow you. Often what happens, the devotees' children, they see that their parents are giving so many big advice, but they themselves are not following. So they see that their parents are a bunch of hypocrites. So that's why they don't have that respect. That's one of the reasons. Anyway, on your part, follow these two things. When the child is up to, say, reaches the teen, up to 12, give him very good Krishna conscious training. And then you also, together with your husband, lead your life in such a way that your children will look up to you as a role model and want to become like you. Okay? Thank you. Hare Krishna, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Gaur Premanande, Hare Hare.